To allow you to practice the concepts discussed in this video, we have set up a series of exercises. I invite you to go to the description of the video. You will find all the necessary information to get the exercise and the detailed correction. Arithmetic programming in ABAP is a key component for SAP developers. It allows the creation of complex mathematical calculations in ABAP programs such as average calculations, percentage calculations, and exchange rate calculations. Basic arithmetic operations such as addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division can be used to create simple calculations, while advanced functions such as round and trunc allow to more precise data handling. Arithmetic programming in ABAP is also used to create calculations algorithms for budgeting, inventory management, and financial management. But before we create our first calculations, let's talk about parameters and variables. A parameter is an element that allows data to be passed to a function, method, or program. These parameters can be of different types, such as string, integers, or decimals, dates, arrays, and so on. By using parameters, developers can create more flexible and reusable programs and functions. While a variable is a memory location that allows to store a value or reference to value. They can also be of different types. They are used to store temporary data, results of calculations, parameters, values, etc. Developers can use variables to create programs that are clear and easier to understand by giving variables meaningful names rather than using numeric values or memory addresses. For a better understanding, let's make the following statement together. First, the user will enter two numbers. With these two numbers, we will perform the different basic operations such as addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. And finally, we will display the results. Let's start by declaring our input parameters. These fields allow the user to provide the two numbers that will be used for the different calculation. This is done by the statement parameter, as you can see here. Parameter P number 1 and P number 2. These are in comments because they can be replaced as follows. So parameters and after P number 1 and P number 2. These two writings have the same function, the second simplifying especially the reading of the program. These parameters must be declared by a data type. As a reminder, they define nature and structure of the data used in a program. Data types can be integers, decimals, numbers, string, dates, Boolean, arrays, and so on. It is important to declare data types correctly to ensure data quality and security in the program. By using them properly, developers can avoid data entry, calculation, and memory errors. Data types can also be used to define input limits and to validate data before it is used in the program. So, now that we have defined the different parameters and so on, we will execute the program like this, and here is the result of this first instruction. You can see the two parameters, and also it is important to mention that we don't allow the use of characters because they are declared as integer. Then, to get the results of our calculations, we will need variables. We can declare it with the statement data, here gv add, sub, mul, and division for global variable and one for each of the different operations. I'll take this opportunity to make a little clean code appearance on what we call naming conventions. Indeed, it is important that the names of the variables you use are meaningful. There are several advantages to use a naming convention. 1. Clarity. A clear and consistent naming convention allows developers to quickly understand the function and content of variables. 2. Maintenance. This allows developers to quickly identify variables that need to be updated or corrected, making it easier to maintain the code. 3. Reuse. Allowing developers to reuse variables in other programs or in other parts of the same program. 4. Error prevention. By using a naming convention, developers can avoid syntax errors or programming errors related to the use of inconsistent variable names. And finally, 5. Standardization. This allows developers to work in a standardized way, thus facilitating collaboration and mutual understanding of the different parts of the program. It is important to note that naming conventions vary from company to company, so it is important to ensure that you are using the appropriate naming convention for your company or project. Concerning the variables, they also answer to some additional rules like must start with a letter, also of maximum 30 characters, and they cannot use a word reserved by SAP. Now that our dataset is declared and ready for use, let's attack our different operations. So here we have the addition with here the global variable add and the calculation with the number 1 and number 2. We have also here the subtraction, then the multiplication, and finally the division. When everything is done, we can execute the program and fill in here the parameters with the two different numbers. We execute and then we can see the result appears. Let's add a last notion and a last calculation using a constant. This data is a variable that is associated with a value that cannot be modified by the program during the execution. We then use the constant instruction like this. Let's add this constant to the last calculation, so we need to add here new data, global variable for the result, and here the last operation for the last calcul here. And we will write the result with the global variable. We can execute, fill in here the different parameters just like before, execute, and you can see here the new result appear. Using arithmetic operations will have allowed us to see a first manipulation of data in a program and to see new instructions, especially declaration instruction. For our next episode, we will see that it is also possible and important to be able to manipulate characters, and this in several ways. Thank you for watching this video. Feel free to give us a feedback on this series and tell us if you like the concept. See you soon for our next episode.